know what is hot now? And it's going to be hot for a while. We're going to discuss it here. When I say hot, I mean one of those hot topics people talk about is Trump and DeSantis and Trump and DeSantis. And I will just say, as you know, I'm not on either team, but I totally understand why people support both. I haven't decided who I'm voting for yet. I don't know. I'll let you know when I do know. I don't know. I want to see them go compete. But this is one thing I see, and it bothers me a lot. It bothers me when I see DeSantis people say, I don't know why anybody would vote for Trump. I don't understand why anyone would vote for Trump. Do you not know people? Real, non-political people? And the reason I bring this up is non-political people, normal people, many of them had their lives significantly improved economically under Donald Trump. Everybody isn't like me or like you, wakes up every single morning, browsing the news of the day, the latest headlines. Hey, did you see this? Most people, understandably, they're not wrong for this, most people, understandably, they vote on the food they're putting on the table. They vote on, are you covering the gas for the month? Are you covering rent for the month? How is your life, how's your standard of living under this guy? Many millions of people in this country saw their standard of living get better under Trump, and they want a part two of that. I would argue if you're out on Trump, you're done with the whole thing. I get it. Again, I get that too. I'm not judging you. Do keep that in mind. Many people saw their lives get better. And right now, as we look around, they're watching their lives get worse. Just going to do a little brief economic update here. It's bad, man. Gas prices going back up, gone up for 5 straight weeks. National average is up 33 cents from the last month, 14 cents from a year ago. And this is at a time, which we're going to go over in a second, this is at a time when everything else is getting more expensive too. And this is part of the reason I understand why people want to go back, because this is what people are experiencing, normal people. I would argue many of my maybe wealthier friends in the media business don't spend enough time with normal people. Again, I'm not judging, but normal people are watching not just gas, energy, their power bill. I hear more complaints in my circles about the power bill. Did you see the power bill? Oh my gosh, we need to go shopping for a new power company. What about the power bill? The power, gas, power, eggs. Eggs are one of those things. I was taught by my folks when I was very young, we didn't have a lot of money, that eggs were just one of those incredible foods. Why? They're incredibly good for you. They're easily available. And they're very cheap. You can consume eggs, a very nutritious meal, for not very much money. Or, you know what, I take that back. You could. Because now, eggs are up a lot. In some cases, some places in the country, egg prices have doubled. A staple on the American table for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on occasion, if you're doing breakfast for dinner, doubled. Okay, so we got gas, we got power, we got things like eggs. What you're seeing when we talk about these separate things is somebody's standard of living, many millions of Americans, their standard of living going down. And maybe you're not experiencing that right now. And if you're not, that's fine, good. Good. I'm glad you're not. But always keep some perspective for the people who are. I have been out of work. I know what it's like to watch bills pile up. I know what it's like to have to sit down with the wife and, hey, I think we should probably cancel this. I had to sell my car at one point in time, trade it in on some old used car. I know what it's like to sit down with the budget and look at the bank accounts and know that you're not going to make it unless you make changes. Keep in mind, we now know 166 million Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and here's what's staggering. 8 million of those people make over $100,000 a year. And I need to clarify something else here. Maybe right now you're saying to yourself, well, that's crazy. If you can't make it on $100,000 a year, you suck, you're irresponsible. Let me just tell you a brief little story here before I go back into everything else. If you haven't moved around a lot, you may not fully grasp the difference in standard of living and what it costs in this area versus that area, because it is drastically different. When I was in Arizona, after I lost 2 congressional races, I wanted to stay in the political fight. I wanted to stay in the game. And I was offered a job at a DC political firm, $75,000 a year. Now, maybe that's not a lot of money to you, but my eyes about popped out of my head. 75 grand a year? Dang, we're loaded. And I remember moving the family, wife, 2 kids, back to DC. $75,000 a year. We're not expensive people, right? We don't have boats and jet skis and cocaine and all these other things. We're just very simple people. We weren't making it. Renting a home, we weren't making it. That's happening right now across the country. Across the country, especially in the more expensive areas, and many people are tied to these expensive areas, jobs, families, churches, schools, etc. They're not making it. Even 100 grand ain't cutting it. And what's really, really bad, it's not just that we're down, right? It's one thing to be down, all right? This would be up and this is down. It's one thing if we're down. What's bad is there's no indication we're going to start heading back up. I mean, you listen to Joe Biden, they're still out there saying, well, everything's great. Change, what?
I ran for president to build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, to bring back good paying jobs you can raise a family on, whether or not you went to college, to give working families a little more breathing room, to invest in ourselves again, to invest in America again. That's what we've done.
They're out there bragging. That's not just Joe Biden. It's the standards saying now for the Democratic Party. You would at least expect a little fake empathy, right? Hey, guys, well, I know it's not going well, but we're going to turn it around. We're going to do something. They're out there. Chuck Schumer, man, the train ain't a-stopping.
Now, you can use whatever train metaphor you want, anyone you want, but get on the Joe Biden Express now, because we are not stopping.
They have no intention of turning this around. They have no intention of stopping. We're $31 trillion in debt. The value of your dollar continues to free fall. They keep jacking up interest rates. And there's no indication that us being down is going to change and start going that way. In fact, everything looks like it's going this way. We haven't even started discussing the debt ceiling yet. They're already out there all posturing on the debt ceiling. That big fight's coming tomorrow.
We're going to meet this Wednesday. I know the president said he didn't want to have any discussions, but I think it's very important that our whole government is designed to find compromise. I want to find a reasonable and a responsible way that we can lift the debt ceiling but take control of this runaway spending. I mean, if you look at the last 4 years, the Democrats have increased spending by 30%, $400 billion.
Well, that was true, but it wasn't the whole truth necessarily. You see, every now and then, the communists do get some criticisms of Republicans very, very, very right. Like when they go on NBC and say this, they're not lying.
I think the other thing working against McCarthy is that 3 times Donald Trump asked Republicans to raise the debt limit. Right. 3 times they did it. How now do you have smoke for a Democratic
Well, and it's
president?
not just that. It's not just that. I mean, Donald Trump is responsible for $7.8 trillion of
right.
debt on his own. Republicans were absent through the Trump years in talking about fiscal restraint. It's hard for them to say now this on discretionary spending alone, right? They're not talking about entitlement reform. We have to do this. It just feels like a phony fight, even for somebody who's, I think we need real spending reform.
You raised the issue of
They're not wrong. Republicans blow through money the same way. And now they're all going to get together and compromise on why we need to raise the debt ceiling some more, further destroying the value of your dollar and lowering that standard of living. That's just an ugly economy update.